Well, welcome everyone to the Happy PharmD podcast. So this is a first time ever panel discussion with two of our pharmacy coaches. Today we're going to jump into a lot of different topics, mainly self-care and pharmacist burnout and a few things in between along the way. So I'd love to welcome today two pharmacy coaches from the Happy PharmD, Julie Kidd and Nazan Artun. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for being here today. And I'll let you guys quickly just give a quick bio about yourself, just in case people don't know who you are or haven't listened to the podcast before. If you guys don't mind, we'll start with Julie.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Julie Kidd. I'm a clinical pharmacist during the day at a multiple sclerosis center in Roanoke, Virginia. It's a private practice neurology clinic. So I'm embedded into clinic and see patients with my provider, educating patients and monitoring them for their medications. I actually do that part-time. And then I also, which is kind of part of this talk as well. And then I career coach for Happy PharmD. So coach pharmacists to find kind of what makes them tick and find better jobs for them in pharmacy, without pharmacy, whatever that looks like in their season of life. So super excited to be here to talk about these topics, something I'm really passionate about. And yeah, just excited to see where this conversation goes.
Awesome. And Nazan?
So I'm currently working as a clinical pharmacy coordinator in Tabo Fusion, which is a home infusion pharmacy service. And as Julie said, this is my day job. And in the evenings, I turn into a career coach and a musician. Most recently, I'm actually, as you know, because of the pandemic, we don't have many opportunities or live events as a musician. So I'm mostly focusing on my career coaching. I work in a Happy PharmD, and I kind of do the similar stuff that Julie does in my own way. But it has been a pleasure to support and help pharmacists to find their way in their career paths. And also not just the career, I think, kind of finding the meaning and the purpose and getting connected with their true selves and enjoying their lives in general.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This is the first time we're doing this, so we're going to jump right into a topic and let both of you guys run with it. So the first one we really wanted to jump into was overall self-care. I know both of you are passionate about aspects of this. And Julie, I'll let you jump right in. What are your thoughts on self-care for pharmacists and other health professionals?
Yeah. Good, huge question. Where do I start with this one? And, this is something that I think over time, I didn't learn this fresh out of pharmacy school or my first job in pharmacy, but obviously, burnout is huge. And not just in pharmacy, right? I mean, it's other healthcare professions. It's even non-healthcare professions. We're in the midst of a pandemic. So what does that look like, for each individual to take care of themselves so that they, and whatever they do, can bring their best self, their most healthy self to work every day or to home, their family life every day. Again, this has changed significantly for me during periods of my life. So right now I have two kids, 5 and 8, that are doing hybrid virtual school. They were full-time virtual. So I was home, they were home. My husband got to leave the house to go to work. I was really jealous of that. So that meant, I really had to focus on my worlds were just, everything. I was acting as everything, as a pharmacist, as a mom, as a wife, all at one time, all the time. Right. And so there wasn't 8 to 5, I was a pharmacist and came home. And so now I work part-time, which is just, I really have to pinch myself, honestly, to this is my real life. I've really wanted to be part-time for years and didn't have the support from pharmacy leadership, honestly, to go part-time in the role that I was at. But kind of put myself in a position, and now I am working directly with a physician. So I get paid directly from the physician. I'm not working in a pharmacy department. And so I get to be on and I get to be off. And so I get to be a pharmacist 2 days a week, and then I get to be at home and a mom and a wife the other 2 days. So, but even when I'm at work and I realize that that's not reality for everyone, there's definitely things I think you have to do a lot of self-reflection with this, of how hard do you want to work towards a certain project or with patients or what have you. And I feel like I am pretty well connected with myself, and I know my tipping point when I'm about to say enough's enough. I'm burning out. I need to do some self-care. So, but for me, kind of the big buckets in my life that are really important, that make me healthy and make me, tick very healthily, is I have to exercise. And so what that looks like for me is I get up really early in the morning. It's my favorite time of the day because my kids are sleeping. My husband is usually sleeping. And I exercise. And then I'll have usually about 20 minutes after that to just sit quietly and read usually. So I start my day off doing that. And so that is huge. Nutrition is huge for me. And so I've learned over the years to meal plan. So one day a week, I'll just plan out the whole meals for our family. I order my groceries online, so I know exactly everything is in my fridge for the week's meals. And so I know I don't come home and have to scramble and prepare food. I know what we're going to have, and I know it's going to be a healthy meal. And being around the table with my family is super important as well, and just kind of having that community and at the end of the day. So those are things that are really important. Another thing I think is really important in the midst of the day. So those are kind of big every week, whatever happenings that I do. But I have an alarm set on my phone for twice a day. I just do like a simple check-in kind of mindfulness practice. It's not long. It goes off at 9:15 and it goes off at 11:15 in the morning, where I just take a couple minutes and just let thoughts in and let thoughts out. And I am very forgiving for those thoughts. I don't judge those thoughts. It's 2 minutes. It's usually sometimes when I'm at work, so I don't have a ton of time. But it's amazing how 2 minutes in the midst of a busy day can really just change the way that your thoughts are, even to think, why am I here? What is my purpose for the next 2 hours? And so I just started incorporating that the past year, and I can really just tell that simple shift in my attitude and my just my thoughts. That's been a really, really helpful thing for me to incorporate. So I'll stop there. I'm sure I have more to offer later, but I'll let Nazan, what do you have to offer here?
So mindfulness and self-care idea, I think I was introduced to it in 2005, which was really early for me. I was really young at the time. And I started to develop all these like routines for myself, because it was kind of an exploration and interest in myself also. It was not just like, I want to be healthy. Actually, I think I really wanted to learn about myself more in depth, like, why am I here? What am I doing in here? So I think mindfulness and self-care also provides that type of space in life for us, because we all have very busy lives, as you guys know. But in time, the routines that I gain, which one of them is like waking up early in the morning, as you said, Julie. And after waking up, I either do a quick meditation, kind of like a body scan revision, or just grab my book and read a couple of pages to wake my mind, and then do a meditation after. I love exercising. You know that I'm a yoga fan. I've been doing yoga for years again. I sometimes do early yoga, or I kind of switch it to the evening during the week if I can. But really waking up the right way is my most important routine. I don't just jump out of bed. I usually try to seriously, okay, this is a new day. and I'm alive and I'm grateful for it. And this is the first thing that I do. And this is something that I also recommend to my clients. And I think it makes a big shift, because the way that you wake up is really affecting our the rest of the day. I believe in that. And I'm a believer of like gratitude exercise. I don't want to call it exercise, actually, the attitude of gratitude, maybe. So I implemented into my family life. My husband and we have this morning routine. Even if we're driving to work, we definitely call each other and like have gratitude meditation for 5 minutes. Wherever we go, wherever we are, we usually do that. And even with my family members and who are in Turkey, I used to do it with my friends too. It's such a fun exercise. I love it. I do it with my friends or with people that I'm connected. And as you said, Julie, I also have alarm reminders in my phone during the day, because the work life is so busy. We can get hijacked by thoughts and emotions, and we can literally lose a track of where am I, what am I doing, or why am I doing this, or am I doing it with the right, there's no right or wrong emotions, but still am I really benefiting from this, or am I even contributing to wellness or goodness of the life or people. And that's why I have these reminders. And if I can find the time, I sometimes put music and do a longer meditation, like a 5-minute, that I can do a gratitude, or again, being just scanning myself. Or if I'm not in mindset that I'm uncomfortable with, then I try to lead myself to something more maybe more neutral or more comfortable, that will help me to lead the day in a more productive way. Those are the things that I am mostly practicing. Nutrition is a really important also area, as you said. But interestingly, after pandemic, I kind of lost track of there was a period of time that we were eating junk food, because we were just thinking, well, we're stuck at home, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna just gonna have chips and watch movie, and it became a habit. But then I realized that it was even making me really uncomfortable, not mentally but physically, because I have this routine that I am so used to. I don't like to eat junk food very often, but when I started to do it every day, I started to feel really unhealthy. So yes, you're right, that's a big part of it. And as Julie said, we are trying to combine, she's obviously trying to combine the nutrition part of the self-care, the mindfulness part of the self-care, and the physical exercise part of the self-care, I think. And also relationships is a big part of it, just getting connected with your loved ones during these times. I also recommend this to all of my coaches, and I usually call my family members or my close friends. I always check in with someone during the day, to see if they're doing well, or just to touch base and stay connected. Those are my ways.
No, I love that. Thank you guys both for sharing on that. I guess I kind of want to, in terms of a question regarding that for both of you, and I'll have both of you got to chime in for that. What was there a time frame that you weren't doing these things and you decided to start implementing them? And if that's the case, how and why did that change occur? And either one of you guys can jump in for that.
I can start, actually. I kind of have a...
Yeah, go right ahead.
It's just in my memory, as I said, everything started with coincidences. I remember how I started to do yoga. I was in Manhattan and in Starbucks with my sister, trying to cover ourselves from the heavy rain. Then someone just hand in a brochure for 2 weeks yoga for $20. I remember that, and I was like, oh, I should try this. And I was a student at the time. It was cheap. Okay, I'm gonna try it because I was always hearing about yoga. That's how I started. But in time, when you kind of put something in your focus, I think life brings the right people and all these opportunities to your way. So in time, I started to meet with really good mentors who helped me to try different types of meditations and to kind of learn what works for me or what doesn't. I think it's a process, and it's an effort and practice. What do you think, Julie? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly, for a long time, this mindfulness meditation has been kind of this buzzword for a couple years, right? And I was like, I don't know what this is, and I don't know how to do it. So I feel like, even like the fear, the pharmacists have to be perfect. So like, what if I'm not good at it? And so I just finished an integrative medicine certificate program, and they actually taught me how to meditate, which that's probably why I started. And I'm extremely grateful that there was several of my professors that demonstrated, how they meditated and what they would meditate on and what the environment looked like. And so I saw that it's actually doable. Anyone can do it. There's not a right or a wrong. And to answer your question a little bit about, so I started implementing meditation into my life, oh man, probably just last winter after someone teaching me how to do it. And so I would go work out. This was before COVID. I would go to the gym. I'd come home. I had my whole routine set. My coffee was made. I would change my sweaty clothes real fast and come in. And it was just, I longed for that time. I was just so looking forward to that time, and felt just dramatically different from that whole routine. I went from, not loving getting up at 5 a.m. to this is my favorite time of the day. And then I actually, in the midst of the beginning of COVID, when my kids, they were going to school and I was going to work, we were all doing our wonderful life. And then, wait a minute, everyone's at home and I'm working full time and my kids are also at school full time. And I was like, this is too much. And so that was the first thing I dropped is the meditation practice. And my alarm would go off and I'd say, I don't have time. I don't have time to do that. And a couple of months into it, I'm like, well, I just feel kind of off. And I think it's not just meditation. Obviously we're in the midst of craziness, but I think I just didn't have that time to really be introspective and look inside and just and carve out a couple minutes of my day to myself, and collect my thoughts. It was just always go, 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 go. So yeah. And then, I probably started again 3 months ago, and it's just been made such a difference to have that time and that ritual. And I feel like with exercise, I've always been an active person, but I played a lot of group sports, growing up, and then you become an adult and you don't have 7 other people to play a game with. And so you really have to figure that out of what exercise looks like for you. And so, I right after pharmacy school, I started running some races and getting into road biking, and just I found myself, I loved being in the mountains. I felt like my spirit was complete when I was doing those things and competing. And so I think since then, it's just been kind of a non-negotiable that for me to be healthy, I have to continue to do those things. So yeah, but I do think, it ebbs and flows, in different seasons of what you can commit to, how long you can do these. I used to exercise for 2 hours a day, no one has 2 hours a day anymore. It's a 30-minute run or HIIT exercise or whatever it is now. And a 2-minute meditation, that's what I have in this season of life. But I
was thinking that I was doing yoga, sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking
you're good.
A couple of years ago, the yoga sessions used to be 1 hour and 45 minutes. Everything, I don't know if you remember that, but now everything is 35 minutes. 35
totally.
Minutes.
Yeah.
Because with yoga practice, you have to start with with the right mindset and kind of saying a prayer and and then we were finishing with breath exercises and everything. And then closing up with meditation again, like warm up. So it was like a whole ritual. But now I was just thinking, can I do that? No, I don't have time for it.
No, yeah, exactly. But that's the point, right? It's like, you don't have to do it for a certain amount of time, like a minute, 20 minutes, that's what you need, that's what your mind, your spirit, your soul, that's what you need.
Yeah, it becomes another stressor for people, because I'm pretty sure that you observe with your clients, like if they want to create a habit, if they think that, oh, they don't have time for it, but they have to do it, they become too stressed. But I just say that just do it for 1 minute. It's just kind of initiate the idea of like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm committing to myself, and then see how it goes. If you want to stay longer, for example, if you want to write and create the writing habit, just try 1 minute a day, and then see if you want to sit for 5 minutes or if you want to sit for 15 minutes, but just don't push yourself that you're going to sit and write for half an hour or something like that. I think we are really overwhelmed with multiple things going on in our lives, and the more we put into our plate, even if it's related to self-care, then it becomes like a stress factor. I need to take care of myself. No, it's just like, you don't need that. Actually, it should be something like relaxing, fun, or like something serves for good, not for another stress factor, another like anxiety contributor.
Yeah, something you have to complete by the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, guys, and great thoughts here. I kind of, this will kind of direct us right into our other topic. Was I think it all kind of correlates well is burnout, right? Which is always going on, and I think this becoming more and more of a heated topic of discussion. More people are just either realizing that might be what's going on with them, or I think just a lot more people are talking about it. I don't think that it's occurring more. I think just more people are starting to talk more about it. But if you guys want to, either one of you can start with your thoughts on that, and whoever's ready, go right ahead.
I can start if you don't mind, Joel.
Yeah, go for it.
You guys know that I'm very passionate about it. So the reason that people started to speak more about this is because people were ashamed of going through burnout, first of all, because burnout seemed like a kind of a sign of weakness, because the people who were going through burnout were thinking that, what's wrong with me? Because my colleague is not going through burnout. We're working in the same conditions, but I am going through burnout. So they were hiding it to themselves, especially in healthcare. And I talk with physicians and like nurses and pharmacists who went through burnout. In healthcare, you need to have an authority, because you're the provider. So you cannot be weak. You don't have that option. But I think right now the times are changing, because people are realizing that being vulnerable is more important than just pretending that you are something else. And sharing your real story is the thing nowadays. So that's why people are starting to share their real stories, and they're trying to create awareness about burnout. That's my thought, first of all. That's the reason why we're hearing more. And the second thing is, in 2019, burnout is accepted as a legit diagnosis. That's the other thing. So now burnout has a diagnosis code. So it's not like a myth. Oh, burnout, I have burnout. No, it's a legit diagnosis right now. That's why.
What's the criteria? Do you know what the criteria are?
I haven't looked into it.
A really good question.
So I wrote an article in Pharmacy Times. I shared it with you. I put it there.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
And the title is, Does Prioritizing Self-Care Mean Betraying Your Patient Care? And I know that so there was a report also released by some very respected institutions, and it was mostly focusing on physician burnout, but I did some article research, and actually pharmacist burnout is very high at level. It's there are articles pointing 65% of burnout rate among pharmacists, including clinical pharmacists and retail pharmacists. So that's the other thing. It's just it's increasing at a certain level that people cannot hide or cannot neglect or overlook to that situation. And with burnout, one thing that I really want to emphasize is, like, we are talking about self-care, and I shared this opinion with you guys already, but it's not just the individual's responsibility. In this case, it's the common effort to promote the self-care by institutions, by leadership, and by individuals. So it's kind of an equal, if it's it's like a dance by two. It cannot be applied or practiced by just one person. That's why there should be a common effort. There should be a collective effort towards that level, because the other thing is, you guys know that I'm from Turkey, and I have seen the health system in Turkey, and I, like, after I came here, I kind of experienced the health system in here. I can see the differences in here. It's like, we work hard in Turkey too, don't get me wrong, but still we kind of respect the, like, breaks and interactions, or like being even socialized at workplace, which is, again, it's important for self-care, because you're interacting with your colleagues or co-workers, and like you're sharing. You're not just like, putting yourself into like a cage and just working and not giving any breaks. So in here I saw that it's less, and people are really skipping their like lunch breaks. I have like multiple clients who are like skipping their lunch breaks. Then I encourage them to take that. Right now they're taking, and they're feeling better. We need breaks. We're not machines. And we're like, when we're taking care of patients, we're turning into patients if we keep working in that pace, in those conditions. But this is, again, it doesn't matter how much I want to take care of myself, if it's not promoted, if it's not encouraged by the management or leadership, then I won't have those conditions. And also in those articles, there are a couple of reasons that promotes burnout, but one of them is lack of leadership and management, which means that the management is not putting the right actions towards that. The second one is actually, you're going to laugh at this, working with tough people. I think we need to treat each other better. What do you think, Julie? Right?
Oh, yeah.
So working with difficult colleagues, like, so it's like, again, it's not the work itself. I think it's the work environment which contributes to burnout a lot. So that's something that we need to think about, I guess.
Yeah. That's, oh, go ahead.
No, you're right. I was just gonna say, I love that. Like, you're turning into the client, or you're turning into a patient. But like, I love that analogy. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, with your point of I feel like you talked a lot about just that collegial, that getting along with your coworkers. It's been really interesting for me. And I think I knew this about myself all along, but during the pandemic, at my last job, we were working remotely 100%, which at first seems great, right? Like, you're in your yoga pants and you get to throw in some laundry or whatever it is. But again, like, a couple months into it, I'm like, what is going on? And I just realized how much I miss that relationship with people. And, I would talk to them on the phone or, instant message with them all day long, but I missed like seeing them and just being in the same room with them so much. I really crave those relationships with my colleagues, and with my patients. So, Zoom just wasn't cutting it with my patients. I wanted to be with them. And so I felt during that, when I was 100% remote, I felt burnt out, and it took me a long time to kind of put my finger on what that is. And so I have clients now that they think that just this remote job is just like, the dream, which is, some people, it is awesome. But if it's a person that is now outgoing and personable, I have to say to them, like, make sure that's really what you want, because maybe it's a hybrid position, or maybe, not every day you have to go in, but those relationships are really, really critical for me. And relationships, period, like professionally, with my family, with my community. And you touch on this a little bit with Nazan, like, I need people in my life. I need those relationships. to know that I'm not alone and I'm not, by myself or whatever it is, just feeling that connection to people. So it's interesting that, I feel like, again, a lot of people, a lot of my clients that I have, they say, if I just want a remote job, and then I'll be so happy. And I had that remote job and I was like, I just want to go back to work, I want to go back and see people. So, and to kind of speak on your point a little bit about, you're right, like about corporations not allowing pharmacists to, take breaks. I mean, this is, it's terrible, but I would even encourage, like, take 5 minutes and go outside. I think being outside and getting fresh air and the sunshine is just so, so critical and important. And it can just kind of like a 2-minute meditation can really shift your thinking when you're at work, so any free moment, if you can just get outside and walk around the building 3 times, that is often really, really helpful for me. And I come back in and I have a shift in my mindset for the next hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. So, especially if you're in the basement of the hospital or you're in front of the computer all day long or whatever it is, like, that is not good. That's not good for our body. So being outside, we actually got a dog about 4 months before the pandemic, and the dog drives me bonkers. But when I was at home, we had to go walk him, and that was so good to tear me away from my computer and my work to make sure I was outside for 15 minutes to get that fresh air, what have you. So, so not only taking that break, but getting outside to natural light is so critical as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, Julian. I was to your point there about taking a break or going outside. Like, you probably can all give examples of seeing people just like go on break, but they immediately go right to their phone. You go from one screen to the next, right? Which isn't a break. And actually, I think there's been studies that show it's actually more draining to scroll through on different things and on your phone or read emails or whatever. It's actually burning you out even more. It's not a break, even though we consider that as a luxury or a break. So, no, I love that whole idea of going outside or just walking around or meditating, just kind of resetting for the day. But yeah, so, and as we're closing up here, like, I want to thank you guys so much for sharing your thoughts on these topics. I think we can definitely revisit these again in the near future. And either one of you or both of you, I know we have an announcement that you guys are working on coming up in January. Which one of you guys would like to share that with the listeners?
Sure, I will. So we are planning a wellness retreat at the Happy PharmD, January 16th. Everyone put it on your calendars. I believe it'll just be in the morning, like a 9 to 12 event. We're still working on the details, but it'll likely be yoga, some nutrition sprinkled in, some meditation practice, as well as some kind of breakout sessions of where you see yourself in 5 years, some kind of growth mindset practices. So we're really excited. It's myself and Nazan and another one of our Happy PharmD coaches that are planning this. So we're just really excited to help pharmacists who feel burned out or don't know how to do any practices of self-care to just explore different options with them and really to say you're not alone. So again, January 16th, more to come, but we're really excited to implement this and roll out our first ever wellness retreat.
Well, awesome, guys. Julie and Nazan, thank you guys both so much for being on today. Hope you had as much fun as I did. And we'll definitely want to do this again soon. But again, thank you guys so much for being on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting us speak our passions.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the Happy PharmD podcast. I really hope you enjoyed our first panel podcast discussion with two of our very own Happy PharmD coaches, Julie Kidd and Nazan Artun. Please reach out to us with any questions or concerns, and also of any topics of interest that you'd like us to cover on any future panel podcast discussions. Please reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or directly on our website. We'd love to hear any feedback or also any topics of interest that you would like us to discuss in future episodes. Thank you again so much, and we'll see you next time.